Well, I certainly appreciate this invitation to be part of an awareness building around the very serious issues that we try not to think much about, and that is nuclear proliferation and hopefully nuclear elimination of the elimination of nuclear weapons. And just perhaps my main contribution can be being one of the Habakasha, meaning that my lifespan has seen the beginning and the development and the crimes and criminality and where we are today in a state of still after 71 years being so hidden, so uninformed, and the victims of huge secrecy to allow the monstrosity of what we are talking about to really sink in to most of our people. I would say that's true around the world. So I'll begin that my own experience happened when we lived next door to someone who was teaching 3 blocks away in the Columbia Physics Building. Now, he was our neighbor, and we knew his wife and we knew his daughter very well as good friends. And by 1939, 1940, our parents began to share with us that Dr. Hecht could not even tell his wife what he was doing every day in the Columbia Physics Building, nor could they share that with their daughter, like talking together over the day. And to us, that was utterly astounding. We couldn't imagine our parents not telling each other and us what they were doing through the day. So it was just an awareness, and to me, that awareness made me think it's secret, so perhaps it must be something evil. I just have that little memory of feeling not good about this secrecy between the physicist and his wife and his daughter. Nothing more came to sharpen that until the actual event on actually my uncle did join the Marines and was assigned to the Pacific in the years before 1945. But in the summer of 1945, I was 15 years old, and we received a very excited telephone call from our mother, and she let me know that something had happened. The United States had dropped this bomb, which was really going to end the war. And my dear uncle would not have to be involved in the invasion of Japan. He was very quickly involved in the occupation of Nagasaki, about 6 weeks after the devastation of Nagasaki. So my own life experience kind of ended then, because I became a sister and I was involved in teaching in elementary and high schools for 12 years in this country, but also I had my sights on Africa to be able to teach where our African American people had been victimized and in a very unfair way treated over these 400-500 years. And so our order was allowing us to be involved in teaching there. So I was given a course at Boston College, and that was in radiation biology. So I learned how tritiated thymidine or something could be tagged with a radioactive isotope and inform us about incidences like the trigger mechanism of cell division that causes cancer. So I was jumped into this way of learning chemistry and being prepared to teach my students that there are great possibilities for the use of radioactive isotopes. However, my uncle was settled in California, and we didn't really get to know over the next 2 decades his experience, what he had seen and heard in Nagasaki. And it wasn't until the 80s when I came back to the United States on one of my leaves and found that 1 million people were marching at the UN. This might have been 1982 or 83. It was an anniversary of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, as well as 50 years or more after the dropping of the bomb. And so we joined that crowd, and that, of course, educated me much more about the real seriousness. We had women from Japan and men from Japan, the hibakushas, greeting us with smiles and giving us gifts, when in our hearts we were so stunned that we should be the ones to be apologizing to them. However, it was a very wonderful experience of a nonviolent response to an extreme violence, and how disarming that could be. So I go back to Africa, and perhaps my students in chemistry and biology are a little bit more informed about radioactivity. And also I began talking about the horrendous use of atomic energy as a bomb. And it kind of colored my life. And then I had to come back in the early 2003 or so, the effects of malaria a little bit, and I found that I wasn't going back to Africa. So I could only say to myself, how can I serve in this country without trying to do something about the continuing production, testing, and making more powerful of nuclear weapons? And so for that reason, I was offered a ministry in Nevada, in Las Vegas, started by the Franciscans, who had been monitoring the test site where 1,000 nuclear weapons had been detonated over the period of time from 1950 or 49 till 1993, when there was a ban on nuclear weapons testing. And so it has really continued there in subcritical ways, but they did need someone to help with the ongoing awareness promotion of the continuing nuclear weapons industrial complex. So I couldn't help but respond and learn so much during those years, especially from the indigenous people whose land the size of the state of Rhode Island or even the state of Connecticut had been illegally taken from these people to whom the land had been legally transferred in 1863. And since 1950 or so, more than 1,000 bombs had been tested, just wasted. I mean, you can't waste a bomb, but devastating that land. So it became another teaching method. People would come and experience the feelings of the indigenous people. So I can, as you can see, my whole life has been able to span this ongoing devastation of our planet. And I would hope that all of us could be stirred to see what we can do in order to bring about a legal process of banning nuclear weapons specifically, as we ban chemical and biological weapons, but naming them so that they can be dismantled. So more later, I guess.